Welcome to Voxtober. I am one of the creators who is participating in Voxtober. I'll be narrating Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice in a well-fitting British accent. It's a singular passage, do not mind me. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man, in possession of good fortune, must be in want of a wife. However little known the feelings or views of such a man may be on his first entering the neighborhood, the truth is so well fixed in the minds of the surrounding families that he is considered the rightful property of some one or another of their daughters. "My dear Mr. Bennet," said his lady to him one day, "have you heard that that Netherfield Park has been let at last?" Mr. Bennet had replied that he had not. "But it is," returned she, "for Miss Long has just been there, and she told me all about it." Mr. Bennet made no answer. Do not you want to know who's taken it?" cried his wife impatiently. "You want to tell me, and I have no objection of hearing it." This was invitation enough. "Why, my dear, you must know. Miss Long says that Netherfield Park has been taken by a young man of large fortune from the north of England. That he came down on Monday in a chaise and four to see the place, and he was so much delighted with it that he agreed with Mr. Morris immediately. That he has taken possession before the McCalmus. And some of his servants are supposed to be in the house by the end of next week." "What is his name?" "Bingley." "Is he married or single?" "Oh, single, my dear, to be sure. A single man of large fortune, 4,000 or 5,000 a year. What a fine thing for our girls!" "How so? How can it affect them?" "My dear Mr. Bennet," replied his wife, "how could you be so tiresome? You must know. I'm thinking of his marrying one of them." Is that his design in settling here?" "Design? Nonsense! How can you talk so? This is very likely he may fall in love with one of them, and therefore you must visit him as soon as he comes." "I see no occasion for that. You and the girls may go, or you may say to them by themselves, which perhaps will be still better for as you are as handsome as any of them. Mr. Bingley might like you best of the party." "My dear, you flatter me. I certainly have had my share of beauty, but I do not pretend to be anything extraordinary now. But I am a woman. But when a woman has 5 grown-up daughters, she ought to give over in thinking of her own beauty. In such cases, a woman has not much beauty to think of." "But, my dear, you must indeed go and see Mr. Bingley when he comes to the neighborhood."
"It is far more than I arranged for, I assure you."
"But consider your daughters. Only think the establishment be for one of them. Sir William and Lady Lucas are determined to go merely on that account. For in general, you must know, they visit no newcomers. Indeed, you must go, for it will be impossible for us to visit him if you do not."
"You are over-scrupulous, surely. I dare say Mr. Bingley will be very glad to see you, and I will send a few lines by you to assure him of my hearty consent in marrying whichever he chooses of the girls, although I might throw in a good word for my little Lizzie.
I desire you to not do such things. Lizzie will not be is not a bit better than the others, and I'm sure she's not as half so handsome as Jane, nor as half as good humorous as Lydia, but you're always giving her the preference.
They have none of them such to recommend them, replied he. They're all silly, ignorant. They're silly and ignorant, like other girls, but Lizzie has something more of a quickness than her sisters.
Mr. Bennet, how can you abuse your own children in such a way? You must take delight in vexing me. You have no such compassion for my poor nerves.
You mistake me, my dear. I have high respect for your nerves. They're my old friends. I have heard you mention them with consideration these 20 years at least.
But you do not know what I suffer.
But I hope you will get over it and live to see many young men of 4,000 a year come into the neighborhood.
It will be no use to us if 20 such would come, since you do not visit them.
Depend upon it, my dear. But when there are 20, I will visit them all. Mr. Bennet was an odd mixture of quick parts, sarcastic humor, reserve, and caprice. That experience 23 years had been insufficient to make his wife understand his character. Her mind was left difficult to develop. She was a woman of mean understanding, little information, and an uncertain temper. When she was discontented, she fascinated herself nervous. The business of her life was to get her daughters married. Its solace was visiting and news. Hi, I hope you have enjoyed the first chapter of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And thank you for listening to week 1 of Voxtober, where I have decided to narrate. If you have enjoyed this experience or want to hear more, or keep up with Voxtober, as it is, I would recommend subscribing and indeed turning on the notifications, because I genuinely would be happy. Hehe. Plus, we're really close to 420 subscribers. Hehe. Funny number. Yes, this is Editing Coffee. Hi. Thank you for sticking around to the very end. I have a very special message for you. Comment below. Comment what your favorite classic novel is below if you've made it this far. And I do appreciate those who've made it this far. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Kisses and hugs for all. Have a wonderful Voxtober and happy Halloween.